I'm going to play you a short video that has ignited a racial beef between Orientals and Occidentals, and I'd love to ask you what you think about it. Do you find this funny, or do you find it offensive?
I'm back on Housewives, and we're ready to defend ourselves. Yeah!
Alas, this has to be an all-time low for me to be commenting on Real Housewives of wherever they are, because I'm somebody who doesn't watch TV. But whenever I see my skin folk getting into racial beef, I feel like I have to wade in. So here's what their Korean-American co-star or K-star? Here's what their K-star co-star, Katie Ginella, had to say about it.
There's a very inappropriate video going around where two girls are pretending to fight, squinting their eyes and making Asian faces to Asian sounds. And it's very hurtful and very inappropriate, and it's 2025, and I think we should read the room.
Okay, so here is my initial reaction to K-star Katie's comments. What do you mean when you say they're squinting their eyes, making Asian faces to Asian sounds? What's an Asian face? I mean, I suppose you could say going is making Asian faces to Asian sounds, but in my world, going is also making Asian faces to Asian sounds. It's okay to say Chinese, you know, or East Asian, or Oriental, if you don't want to name us. And before any of you boba libs freak out like you always do every time I say the word Oriental, Oriental is the rug. Just Google Donnie Wong Oriental and don't talk to me about it here. Just watch what I've said about it before. It's a beautiful, majestic, evocative word, which also highlights the difference between us East Asians, Southeast, Northeast, Central Asians, and South Asians. Because Asia's a big place. But seriously, when you say making Asian faces to Asian sounds, that's like the equivalent of accusing someone of imitating white people when they say "G'day, mate," or "Mamma mia," or "Next time, see your goddamn yellow belly." Anyway, how offensive did you find that clip? And I would also ask, how much are those two blondes responsible for what they did in that clip? Did they come up with that themselves? I mean, this was a sketch, basically, wasn't it, that was produced. Somebody created it and put that Oriental background music. People sat around a table and devised this sketch, right? It didn't just happen. So I think whoever's behind that program inserted that to deliberately trigger the masses. I think they're trying to create another Sydney Sweeney has good genes moment. Right? What do you think? That wasn't accidental. So let's have a look at what the general public thinks. I'm going to read out some of the comments. The top comment on the post says, "She's a banana, who cares?" I'm a banana too. For those of you who don't know what a banana is, it's what our people call us when we're yellow on the outside, white on the inside. If we've grown up in the West, we have another term for it, which is juksing. Juksing is, I think it's a much more sophisticated term than banana, although I love banana too. But juksing means a bamboo stick. And they call us juksing because we're a bamboo stick that looks Chinese on the outside, but it's hollow on the inside, so we are empty. Our souls are empty and devoid of any cultural awareness. Juksing. But when I saw that comment, I had to reply. And I said, I'm not saying these two blonde doofuses were right, but boba lib bananas are always the first to freak out over the lamest nonsense that most real East Asians don't give a flying fuck about. Yeah, they were two grown women acting like kids. And people do. Have you not ever pretended to be a Chinese person doing a karate chop and going, hiya, imitating Bruce Lee? We do it. We all grew up doing it, you know, us Chinese, and I know you've done it too. If you've never done it before, I think you're weird. But to do it on TV, when people are so sensitive about this kind of stuff today, either they were really dumb, either that peroxide has really gotten to their heads, or they're deliberately trying to race bait, to trigger you guys. Well, not you personally, but trigger the masses. Next comment. Why do I always get the feeling that racial jokes are not allowed in America except for Asian jokes? Is that true? I mean, are you allowed to make black jokes? You're definitely allowed to make white jokes. That I can guarantee. We hear a lot of anti-white rhetoric, whether it's joking or not, right? And it's totally accepted. And actually, when you think about it, of all the people on the planet who should have special protection right now, it's white people, because they're they're the global minority. Apparently, they're only 7% right now. They went from 30% down to 7%. Oh, actually, I've just discovered from Grok the reason why it's dropped from 30 to apparently it's 10% now. It's statistical manipulation because they have decided to discount all people of Spanish and Portuguese origin wherever they've gone throughout the world, who are now no longer considered white as they used to be, but they are brown. That in itself is confusing, isn't it? Because people think, well, you guys in America think of Asian as yellow, but half the Asians are brown too. But getting back to this comment, which claims that it's acceptable in America to make racial jokes only about Asians, presuming they mean East Asians and Southeast Asians, Orientals. But I would argue that it's acceptable to make racial jokes about any race, but when you do, people of that race are going to get offended, and woke people are going to get offended on behalf of everybody. Unless the joke is about white people, then woke people perpetuate those jokes. I mean, personally, I love racial jokes. Racial jokes are my favorite kind of joke. I make racial jokes every day. If you could hear the racial jokes that I utter when I'm not on camera, if the internet could hear the racial jokes I crack and I laugh at, I would be so cancelled. Let's say you will never see me on camera again. Do you want me to tell you some of them? The best ones I've heard lately? Of course not. Do you think I want to die? Oh, here's a really good one. They're YT. What did you expect? YT being the term that racist, woke anti-racists use for white people. Yeah. No, that makes sense. The reason that you're seeing this in the first place is because it's white people who've done this. When black people make racist jokes, you don't see it. And trust me, they do. A lot of the very best racist jokes I've ever heard in my life were made by black people. But also, we Orientals make really good racist jokes among ourselves about other Orientals. You know the whole Asian social and cultural hierarchy? The one that the Koreans are at the top of these days. It used to be the Japanese, but now the Koreans have positioned themselves at the top of it. Yeah, there's a lot of inter-Asian beef going on between all of us yellow people these days. Okay, here's a great one from a fella Chinese dude. Excuse me for my inability to see or feel, but can anyone explain why I should be offended by this video? I didn't feel offended, and I am a blue belt in BJJ. I trained Muay Thai and boxing and did 8 years of karate as a teen where I competed, and nothing here offended me when they displayed their mock martial arts. Right? I mean, I got offended by this kind of stuff when I was like 9. And it was a very specific context where I was like the only Oriental guy in my whole school and one of the only yellow people in my entire small British town in the early 80s, and packs of British kids used to gather around me, like 5 or 10 of them at once, all doing Bruce Lee impersonations and kung fu and karate and pulling eyes and saying asshole and all kinds of stuff, and laughing and jeering and pointing at me. And that always made me want to cry because I was so outnumbered, and it was aimed at me specifically. So that was actually very hurtful for me as a child. But I'm an adult now. That kind of stuff is playground nonsense that cannot possibly affect me. For me to be offended by such juvenile shit means I'm still juvenile in the head. And that was when I was living in an all-white town in the early 80s. But over the last 20, 30 years, I've not witnessed anything like that, except from black people. They have been the only ones in this country, here in the UK, who have still continued to do these martial arts impersonations, because most white people don't dare anymore. But you're not going to see a black person getting called out for it, are you? And I wouldn't call them out for it anyway, because I don't find it offensive. But a lot of black people grew up watching Bruce Lee films and loving martial arts, so we actually had that in common. But I actually really resented Bruce Lee as a kid, because people used to call me Bruce Lee, and they did those Bruce Lee imitations whenever they saw me. And it wasn't just like kids in my school, but it was like strangers on the street, and often adults too. So I just had so many negative associations with Bruce Lee, and it wasn't until I became an adult and I learned what a wise man he was that I let go of that resentment and I began to respect him. And now, as a result of Bruce Lee's teachings, I am water. I am like water. I cannot be offended. I just flow through the gaps in that person's intellect. And now for my last comment, and this one is a real corker. Are you ready? Okay. Lol. White worshipping Asian woman is crying about racial discrimination all of a sudden. I can guarantee you her husband has done worse than that to her, and she was into it. Yeah, she's got a white husband. And I kind of know what you're getting at. I'm sure they play a bit of hide the sweet and sour pork in the bedroom. But seriously, that is uncalled for. But what is really pertinent in this comment is that because I no longer get any of that silly playground nonsense, like the ching chong and all that kind of stuff and the eye pulling. We left that behind in the playground. But what I do get all the time is woke liberal leftists calling me stuff like a white worshipper, which tells you that they are white supremacists, right? They believe that they are so superior that I must be worshipping them. I've been called a self-hating Chinaman with Stockholm syndrome for my white colonial master. Dude, you guys, you think that is anti-racism when you attack us for not sharing your viewpoint? Like when I talk about how I don't feel less than, I don't feel like a victim, I don't feel oppressed, I don't feel that white people are above me and they look down at me. These are the things you call me, you anti-racist. So you are the racists. You are the white supremacists that you insist that I'm inferior and I should feel perpetually victimized. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm going to end it here because this is getting way more heavy than I'd intended. Do leave me your comments. What do you think about this whole affair? Are you offended? Did you think it was funny? Or do you agree with me that it's just manipulation of the masses, pushing sheeple buttons? Do let me have your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with me. And please like and share this post and subscribe or follow if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much.